A week before my sister's wedding, she tried to seduce my boyfriend. In response, I informed her fiancé, who then left her at the altar. Now I'm engaged, but my parents believe I ruined everything out of jealousy. Let me start by saying that I despise my sister. It's not an exaggeration. I genuinely hate her because she's a terrible person. She's a selfish brat who thinks the world revolves around her, and believes she's entitled to everything she wants. I can't stand her, and I think everyone in our family knows that. Our animosity dates back to high school when she first hit on my prom date, who told me about it. Given that we're only a year apart, we were constantly competing, and our parents never discouraged it. They had pretty much given up on us getting along after middle school. We never got along, and I think it had a lot to do with the small age gap. We were too close in age to avoid the kind of rivalry we had. We were always trying to one-up each other, whether it was for our parents' attention, our friends' approval, or eventually boys. Our parents tried to force us to spend time together, but we never clicked. Most siblings grow out of rivalry eventually, but not us, and I believe it's mostly because of my sister's awful personality. Even as kids, I occasionally tried to be nice to her, but she always rejected me. After a while, I decided it wasn't worth the effort to try to be friends with her anymore. She made it clear that she would always try to make my life difficult. She's been a little demon since she was born, and I can't put it more gently. She has no redeeming qualities. How she managed to get so many boys to date her is beyond me, and how she ended up with her fiancé is the biggest mystery. Or rather, her ex-fiancé now. Because after what happened, I doubt they'll ever get back together. Honestly, it's good for him. He deserves better. But my parents are furious with me because they think their breakup was my fault, and that it happening at the wedding humiliated them. So here's what happened. My sister Melissa and her fiancé, Theo, had been together for 5 years. They're both 25 and have been together since college. I've met him countless times at family events and holidays, and he's genuinely a nice person. He's always been polite, and is the exact opposite of my sister. I never understood how she managed to get with him because before him, she only dated terrible guys, and those relationships never lasted more than a few months. She dated almost 8 guys between the ages of 16 and 20. I'm not shaming her for it. She was a teenager and didn't know what she was doing, but I didn't think her relationship with Theo would last as long as it did. I was surprised when they celebrated their 5th anniversary, and he proposed to her. After their engagement, I heard some unsettling rumors about Melissa from friends from school. Several people said that for the past 5 years she'd been introducing herself as single, and even went on dates with some guys from school. She'd even matched with people on dating apps. These were just rumors, and no one had substantial evidence, so I couldn't tell anyone. I didn't want to be seen as spreading nasty rumors about her. These things only came to light after their engagement because she posted it on social media, stirring up our social circles from school. I hoped none of it was true because if it was, Theo would suffer. He seemed truly and deeply in love with her. For 8 months after their engagement, I kept these rumors to myself. But then something happened that changed my mind. I've been dating my boyfriend Alex for 2 years and things are getting serious. I've started inviting him to family events because I'm dating to marry. I want a family. My immediate family, including Melissa, knows how serious I am about Alex. Despite our rivalry, we're forced to see each other every weekend for dinner with our families. My parents insist on it, especially since my father hasn't been well recently. We tolerate it, talking to our parents but not to each other. A couple of weeks ago, I told my parents that Alex and I were considering getting engaged soon after Melissa's wedding. She knew exactly how much I liked him, yet she tried to seduce him just a week before her wedding. This happened at a dinner hosted by my parents for Theo's family. After dinner, I went for a walk in the garden for some fresh air. When I returned, I heard a seductive voice in the kitchen. Curious, I peeked in and saw Melissa had cornered Alex. He was visibly uncomfortable, trying to keep as much distance as possible. She was flirting, telling him to call her if he ever got bored with me. I was furious and disgusted. I pushed the door open, glaring at her, daring her to say something. She just smirked and walked past me as if nothing had happened, even though she knew I had overheard everything. Alex tried to explain, but I didn't need convincing. I trusted him. He told me he'd gone to the kitchen for water, and Melissa had followed, shutting the door and cornering him. This wasn't the first time Melissa tried to make a move on my boyfriend. She'd done it before, and some of my friends even cheated on me with her. My parents knew but still forced us to be together. Whenever I threatened to cut them out of my life, they manipulated me emotionally. I didn't want to cut ties with my parents because, aside from the issues with my sister, they were good to me. I wouldn't say Melissa was the golden child either. She received a lot of flack from our parents, but she's just a terrible person. After last week, I decided I'd had enough. Melissa couldn't keep her hands to herself, even while engaged, and still wanted to compete with me. I told my mother what happened. She was shocked, but instead of telling me to do the right thing, she begged me to keep quiet and put on a happy face for the wedding. I couldn't believe it. I thought my parents were at least upright people who would ask me to prevent Theo from marrying Melissa because she wasn't serious about him. But my mother begged me not to say anything, convincing me to pretend everything was fine for the wedding. That interaction broke my hope of ever having a normal family. Melissa was a terrible person, and my parents, despite their pretense of being good people, encouraged her behavior. They did nothing to stop her from becoming worse. I left that day, frustrated, realizing my parents would always put her above everything else. Later, Alex gave me news that cheered me up. He had accidentally started recording a video when Melissa cornered him. His phone had been in his pocket, and somehow it recorded everything. We had video evidence of her trying to seduce my boyfriend a week before her wedding. I knew what to do. I typed out the list of rumors about Melissa that I'd heard after their engagement and attached the video. I sent it to Theo. I didn't know what to expect, but certainly not radio silence. The next day we had no messages from anyone, not even Melissa or my parents. Everything seemed normal. My mother even called me for a normal conversation. We thought maybe Theo had decided to stick with Melissa and ignore everything we'd said. We were a bit disappointed but accepted it. A week passed and yesterday we attended her wedding. We were surprised it was happening, given the video we'd sent. Everything seemed normal. Theo and Melissa acted like nothing was wrong. During the rehearsal dinner, they seemed in love and Theo's behavior hadn't changed. I almost believed he hadn't seen the email. I didn't want to interfere and tell him to check his inbox, thinking maybe the universe wanted him with Melissa. But at the altar, after Melissa's vows, Theo started talking about an email he received a week ago. Alex and I looked at each other, knowing what was coming. Theo read the email and played the video on the mic. Everyone recognized Melissa's and Alex's voices, making it awkward for us. Theo then explained he'd waited a week, thought about what to do, and had spoken to people about the rumors. Most were true. He confirmed with photos that Melissa had been out on dates during their relationship. He chose this moment to leave her for his satisfaction and revenge. After his speech, he walked off. For a few seconds, there was silence. Then Melissa panicked, becoming hysterical. Guests were confused about whether the wedding was still on. Eventually, her in-laws took the mic and told everyone to go home after lunch. Some stayed for lunch, but Alex and I left as soon as we could. We were happy Theo left because he deserved better. He was a good man who deserved someone who truly loved him. Late that night, my mother called. She knew I sent the email and accused me of being vindictive, saying I was jealous of Melissa. She said my father and she were disappointed in me, claiming I was as bad as my sister. She suggested we not keep in touch for a while, breaking my heart. I replayed the conversation in my head, trying to defend myself but falling short. I was so hurt and wondered if I was the bad guy. Alex assured me I wasn't, but he's my boyfriend, he's biased. So am I the bad guy for telling my sister's fiancé about her cheating just a week before the wedding? Update 1. It's been a week since the wedding incident. The wedding is off, and Melissa and Theo have broken up. Melissa blames me, even though she's the one who cheated. I won't let myself feel guilty for her actions. My parents have called multiple times, but I'm not answering. They believe Melissa can do no wrong, but I've had enough of their emotional manipulation. I received supportive messages from friends who attended the wedding, understanding why I did what I did. Some even apologized for not speaking up about Melissa's behavior earlier. It feels good to have some validation, though my parents' reaction still hurts. After reading comments and thinking, I realized maybe I did compete with Melissa at times. But nothing justifies her actions. I never hit on her boyfriends or went out of my way to make her miserable. I exposed her for being a serial cheater and saved an innocent guy from a lifetime of misery. My mother wanted to preserve the family's reputation, but I don't think that's more important than someone's feelings. If they had married, a divorce would have been far uglier than what happened. I saved everyone a lot of trouble. If my parents want to side with her, they can. I've blocked them, and they know where I live if they want to reach out. As for Melissa, I don't care how she feels. She doesn't care about others' feelings, so I don't need to extend that courtesy to her. I'm glad she's miserable. If she didn't want Theo to leave, she should have been a better partner. Some people suggested I had feelings for Theo, which is why I sabotaged them. I deny that. I was concerned for him, but I love Alex, and I'm glad we're together. He's been my rock through this, and we've grown stronger. We're planning our engagement now, and I won't let Melissa's drama ruin my happiness. Update 2. A few months have passed, and a lot has happened. My parents tried to reach out, but I maintained my distance. I focused on my relationship with Alex and our plans for the future. We got engaged last month, and it was the happiest day of my life. We're planning a small wedding, inviting only those who genuinely support us. I heard through mutual friends that Melissa moved out of state. She's starting over, and I hope she takes this as a lesson to change her ways. Theo has been doing well, focusing on his career and personal growth. We've kept in touch occasionally, and he's grateful I told him the truth, though it was painful. My relationship with my parents is still strained. They haven't apologized, and I don't expect them to. I've accepted that they may never see things from my perspective, but I won't let that affect my happiness. I've built a new family with friends who support me and, of course, Alex. We're excited about our future together, and I'm learning to let go of the past. In the end, I did what I believed was right. I stood up for myself and others who deserved the truth. It was a tough journey, but it was worth it. I'm stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace the next chapter of my life.